Okay. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. We are live today. I'm so excited. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get in. We had the same transition issue with the live stream. I have sent it off to some tech people on my team to figure out why I can't. I think YouTube changed the interface or something with how you start the scheduled streams. And so we will figure that out. But until then, we will continue to go live and move forward. I'm super excited about today's lesson because we are literally in our pre work season and our 3 to 5 day experience for this next cohort with the Self Care Queen. We are starting today. And so I am just super excited about that. As you guys are coming in, I want you to, whether or not you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, when you come in, tell me who you are. If you don't say your name, tell me where you're from. And then also let me know how did you find out about the live stream, right? So my team is doing some other marketing in terms of like testing the algorithm and seeing what works and doesn't work. So we like to know how you guys found out about us and just put that in the chat when you come in. So today, again, with this pre-work, I'm so excited and elated that you guys are here because if you are a woman and you are literally attracted to this message and this work, I know that you are a top 10% woman. I know that you are a woman that is probably a free thinker and you have a very open mind and you are the type of woman that knows that she can attract and obtain what she wants in life. And so if that's you, you are my type of girl. That is literally the story of my life. So just welcome on in. And before we get started today, I want to do a brief introduction and then get into our pre-work material for the Self-Care Queen course because I know that like so deep down inside of me, you guys are going to be transformed by this work of the Self-Care Queen course because I have been transformed by it. And I cannot wait to share with you all that has been imparted in me as you're on your own growth journey and you're evolving as a woman and manifesting what you want in your life. I am too. And so I'm just excited to be a guide and a light. Hello, as you come in. Go ahead and tell me where you're coming in from and tell me how you found out about the stream and get the chat started. So, brief intro, I am Lindasha, and I am an attorney by trade, but I am a life coach by calling, right? And I got into the life coaching world, number one, some years ago, back in 2012. I got into the personal development world and I started life coaching in 2016. And the reason why I actually really was drawn to this work is because of how deeply it resonated with me in my own life and in my own story. This work, the work that I share with you guys, the insight that I share with you guys, legitimately transformed my emotional life and my mental life, my social life. Like my financial life, every part of me was transformed by the things that I'm going to be teaching and sharing with you on today and on the next 3 days as we are having our 3 to 5 day manifestation experience, right? So back in 2012, I hit what I now know as a coach in this space was the quarter life crisis, right? I was 25 years old and the way that my story had went is like from 0 to 25, I had this like robust life of whatever I said I wanted to do, I pretty much did it, right? And this was like unconsciously my start into the like manifestation world. I had no clue as a child what manifestation was, didn't grow up with anybody who used those words. I grew up in South Carolina with a grandmother and a mom and an aunt who were my primary caregivers. And we were pretty much all about the church, right? But this in the midst of like my beliefs about God, and of course, you guys know if you follow me, I have a very strong relationship with God and I believe in a higher power. But in the midst of having like my strong foundation in the Christian faith, I was outside of the church able to like say what I wanted to do and then put my energy towards it, and it happened. And it happened so much from the age of 0 to 25 that I just thought that's how life went, right? And when I met my friends and as I was coming of age, I just assumed everybody's life was kind of moving that same way. Well, as I got to college and of course law school, I recognized that that was not how people's lives were moving, and people were literally kind of like, we're young and just doing what we want to do, right? We're kind of trying stuff as our friends are trying it, or just as it comes to our mind, it's more sporadic, right? It wasn't this something came on the inside of me and inspired me to move, and I did it, and then the thing happened. And so I experienced this from 0 to 25. And my biggest manifestation in my life at that time was I had told my mom at the age of 3 that I was going to be a lawyer. And for all those years, I worked, went straight through school, went to law school, passed the bar on my first time, and at 25 years old, became a lawyer. Well, 1 week after passing the bar, it was like my life had went up this hill, right? And it was like this pinnacle moment for my life. Like, oh my gosh, major celebration. The very next week, it was as though as high as I went emotionally, my life like catapulted down into the craziest, like worst emotional experience I had ever kind of had in my life, right? And it came out of nowhere. And so at the time, I did not know it was called a quarter life crisis, but at the end of the day, that is what psychologists call it. It's around the age of 25 to 27, where most people have their first like existential crisis. And it is, in essence, you've been living and making all of these decisions, most of it being programmed from your childhood, some of it from your community, some of it from how you've been treated in unique experiences. But all of these things are going on in the background that are almost you're making these decisions subconsciously. And then when you hit around 25 to 27, most human beings start to experience the consequences of those decisions, whether they are good or bad, right? So here I am at 25, just like every other 25-year-old, had no clue what was going on. And but all I knew is that I was at a moment where I thought I should be experiencing the greatest emotions ever. And I had just experienced them a week ago, only to be sitting and thinking, like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with my life now? Right. I was a brand new lawyer, did not know what that meant. I had been married ever since my husband found me at the age of 18, wonderful guy. And he was a wonderful husband. It had nothing to do with him. But at that time, I had all of these guys kind of coming back into my life that had dated in my past. And when the first one came back, I was like, what is going on? Like, they were professing their love for me and asking, was I happily married still? But after the first one, it was like guys in my dating rotation in college before I actually settled on my husband to accept his proposal were coming back and mentioning all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, I was just like, what is really going on here? Right? What is really going on here? And I was like really in a stage where I knew I was going to have a lot of money, and I knew that there was going to be like my husband and I would be wealthy, but we were in this weird stage with money of like new money is coming in. I had no clue what to do with it. And so all of those negative emotions were causing me to like experience this almost negative, just crazy state of what am I doing with my life? And so that was the place where I found the personal growth and personal development world. And it literally shifted me and changed everything that I have going on. If you are here in the chat, let me know if you have had any experiences like that, or if you can identify with the things that I am saying right now. So, as I kind of maneuvered through my own experience, I began to like meet these mentors and meet these people who were speaking messages that really resonated to me in that time, right? I began to meet people who were having these super successful lives, and I was just kind of eating up all of the things that they had taught, all of the things that they were saying. I was eating it up, like Jim Rohn and Les Brown, and I found the official law of attraction, not The Secret, the movie, but I found a lot of people whose lives had been shifted by this law. And as I was experiencing that, I was like, wait, I was doing that at the beginning of my life and had no clue what it was called. I thought it was just like magic, right? I thought it was just what everybody did. And until I hit my own experience whereby I feel like it was like God was like, here's unconsciously what's going on, and I'm gonna bless you to experience the fruit of the law. But when I hit 25, it was almost like God was like, okay, now I need you to be skilled in knowing how to do it, because you are going to be teaching and helping others who did not have that benefit on the front end of manifesting their dream life, which I am completely obsessed with helping you do. If you know anything about Lindasha, my friends are super happy that I'm here on the internet talking to y'all about this as opposed to them, because they're probably sick of me and all of my manifestation stuff, or living your best life and elevating and all of that, right? Like they're just like, girl, go talk to your internet friends about this, because your real friends have been hearing it since we've been in your life. Like I have a lot of lifelong friends. So when I found this work in these individuals who were like masters at bringing forth what they wanted in life, I was like, that is me. This is where I belong. This is what I want. Teach me more, right? And so my whole since 25, when I found the work to where I am now, I have just continuously been on my own journey to move that forward. And so if this resonates with you, if you're like, girl, I'm in this place, I want to know how to manifest my dream life in the area of money, in the area of men, in the area of weight loss. I mean, I've used these principles in so many different areas. As we start the self-care queen cohort, you guys coming in and using it in the area of your self-care, your growing your self-respect and growing your confidence as you are out here seeking to attract your becoming the woman who can attract and receive a king provider. I My heart just jumps for joy for how much you're going to be transformed with this work, because I mean every level of my life, including the levels that I am now in all different areas of my life, I have used this work. I used this work when I was ready to start global travel. And now I travel all the time. It ain't nothing to it. Like my daughter, she's like, oh, I knew I had to come ready to roll. Like every new desire that comes up in my life, somehow I come back to this work, and these principles you can apply to all of these different areas. Although for the next 4 weeks, we are going to be centering in on our confidence and centering in on becoming an empowered woman who can use these tools to actually shift the wind in the trajectory of her life and begin to attract the things she knows that she wants, right? So we're doing the inner work. This work is called internal work in order to get where we're going. So if this is you, then yay, you're in the right place. You're in Lindasha's cohort, and I'm so excited for where we're going, right? So my I told you a little bit about who I am and how I got into this work as a coach. Now, in terms of what this work looks like in conjunction to you obtaining the things that you want, right? Especially the first step in any like manifestation, or any person who is trying to bring forth their dream life, any person who is trying to elevate in life and grow. Maybe you're ready for your dream home. I mean, I'm applying it to my dream home right now. I'm applying it to my next level income right now. No matter what area you are desiring to grow in, the very first place that my work teaches, right? And you have different individuals who are in this work and they teach it different ways. I coach mainly in three areas: the area of having your gentle, loving king provider husband, the area of being a wonderfully, fully adored, and fully well loved woman and wife, which starts with you. This is the work of the Self Care Queen course. And then, of course, you becoming the wealthy and rich woman of your dreams, right? The woman whose income is consistently growing, the woman whose savings accounts are, if that's what you want, are consistently growing. For me, it means that a wealthy woman is a woman whose income is consistently growing, her net worth is consistently growing, and also her investments are consistently growing. And so I primarily coach you in those three identities, shifting from where you are to enter into those three identities so that it is easier for you to bring the things into your life that you want. Well, my self care story is extremely interesting. So, I grew up with three women who were very much so into physically taking care of themselves. So, self care typically has two parts. You have the physical part of your self care and your self respect journey, right? What I like to call it. The more you learn to invest in your self care and the more you learn to invest in who you are both inside and outside, that is the magical formula, basically, for you to keep moving forward in life, obtaining the things that you want. You have to become the reciprocal of what you want, is what we teach in our world, right? And so, and put in the chat if you're here with me and you understand what a reciprocal is, or if you need me tomorrow or Friday while we're in this 3 day experience to kind of elaborate on that. You guys put it in the chat or you guys DM me on Instagram and let me know what questions you have coming out of this so that this can be active and alive and breathing as we're doing it, right? And so, at the end of the day, when you are on your self care journey, when you are on your self respect journey, your self worth journey, and your confidence journey, the things that you're building is you're building your external and you're building your internal, right? And externally, I grew up with women who were very great at taking care of the outsides of who they are. So we had great beauty routines that we kept up with. We had great self care routines that we kept up with. My grandmother, my mother, all of the women in my family, even mostly still, like especially the older women. The younger women, we have definitely like kind of let go of some of those practices as a generation, I would say, but we were definitely taught in my family what that looked like on the outside. On the inside, it was very interesting. The women in my life, I would say, were pretty stable, but they were also women who, like my mom was a single mother, so she carried a lot because my mother growing up was not a woman who was had the privilege of being in her feminine, right? So becoming a woman who can attract a king provider, my mother had spent time, and you guys have heard her story. She spent time receiving like things that men that were not king providers. She spent her time, a lot of her youth, choosing men who were not ready to provide for a family, were not ready for a wife, and just were, exploring or playing around. And unfortunately, some people were maybe exploiting. I don't know, but she was attracting and choosing men in that world. As a result, it forced her to be in her masculine a lot emotionally and mentally and from the perspective of providing. And as a result of that, my mother's emotional state, when you are in your masculine, and those of you who are doing this work of growing your self care and becoming the reciprocal of manifesting a husband as opposed to being the husband, right? My mother had to step into the role of almost being the man, and that then took her energy away from becoming the woman that could attract the man. The work that I do is teaching you how to attract the men who are actually equipped and ready to do that work. So emotionally, I grew up and it's hard, right? Any of you who are in that survival state with children, and you're in that level one state and maybe you're transitioning, that survival state is not a healthy state for your emotions, right? It is a state whereby you're like, girl, like I'm barely making it out here. And so with her raising those children, she continuously kind of just, that was her struggle, right? So I had struggles with poverty, or me understanding that there wasn't a ton of money to go around, and my mom had 4 mouths to feed, and it wasn't something that she verbally said often, but it was just the reality. I was a smart kid, so I could see like, oh, well, I better not, I learned to, oh, I better not ask my mom for this, or I better not ask my mom for that. I'm not sure if she had it, and I kind of grew up with that on my shoulder. And if you guys identify, you let me know if this was similar to you, right? And so at the end of the day, that is kind of some of the things that I experienced there. And when you are in that stage and you are literally like trying to figure out why your self-care habits are what they are in the physical or the invisible, the first thing that we have to do is we have to go back to how we were taught to be, right? So there are three principles when it comes to manifesting the things that you want in your life that we're going to talk about throughout this course. And this is what your homework will center around, and this is what you're developing. So the three things that we will teach is number one, you have to, before you can manifest anything, there's be, you have to be the thing, you have to do something, and then you have to receive it. And those are three different works, right? Those are three different works. And so, in the area of self care, for me, what I grew up seeing as the daughter of a single parent mom is I grew up seeing a woman who left her feminine energy very often on the table because she could not lean in her experience could not lean back into her feminine because someone had to provide the food for the kids. As a result of that, there was all of that frustration and stress and everything you sense when, my mom worked in manufacturing. So all of that energy was like piled onto her internally in her aura, right? In her presence. You would see that my mother carried a lot as a result of that versus in the feminine, when we're talking about creating our feminine self care routines and all of the things that are already in the course, one of the things that we do is that the feminine releases burdens, right? She is an expert at pleasure. She's an expert at fun. She's an expert at setting pleasureful and fun environments. She sets light environments. She is consistently like investing in her happiness. When you're around her, you get an emotional lift that you're like, oh my God, where has this woman been my whole life, right? Versus sometimes when you're around men or women who are in the masculine, they carry a lot of the burden. So that was where my mom was. As a result, the internal part of her self care was neglected, right? And so, one of the things that I learned and kind of was conditioned in earlier parts of my life, I had a and I still do have a very strong and very overly developed masculine, just like most women in America. In America, if you're here, I know some of you guys watch me and you're not in America, but if you're in America, you work. We know work in this country. And so it tends to have many of us in an overdeveloped masculine. And it's at the expense of our feminine energy and our soft skills and our social skills. But that is literally water for the feminine, right? Girl time is water for us. Sitting and having luxury conversations with our friends where we're laughing and we're dancing and we don't have a care in the world, that is where we thrive, right? And in order to get there, in order to become the woman who can receive the king, that can appreciate that, because men who are not in their healthy to divine state cannot appreciate this type of woman. As a matter of fact, and you guys let me know in the chat if you agree with me, men who have not invested in their own self-care and understanding their own self-worth, they haven't had a lot of self-respect for themselves, if they're in their unhealthy to toxic masculinity, they look at us and they think, they're almost like angry or envious of us because they think we're not doing anything, right? They're like, oh my gosh, you guys are lazy, or you guys are, you're getting a free ride and that's not fair. I have heard on this God's internet, which is ridiculous. Let me know in the chat if you've heard the same thing, right? Let me know if this has been your experience with men who are not, honestly, men who you should not even be entertaining from a dating standpoint, because he does not understand the natural like gift of femininity in his life. He's not ready to protect femininity. He's not ready to provide for femininity. He actually has his own inner work to do, and that man should be weeded out of your dating rotation very, very fast, respectfully, with love, but very fast. If you happen to be married to a man who is like that, meaning you guys have both kind of been in a toxic to unhealthy stage, then what I would say is you would allow that man to be where he is, especially if let's say he's a provider, but energetically he kind of resents you because you want to get into your feminine more, or you're ready to sit down, or you're tired. You pretty much worked yourself to death and you're like, I need to rest. But let's say you're married to a man who's still a bit unhealthy in that stage, then what I would say do is number one is you keep the relationship as cordial as possible with your husband. Get back to the basics of thank you and please, but then limit as many interactions as possible where you guys are going to be arguing or doing all of that, right? Make yourself throw yourself into your feminine self-care routine and into investing in yourself. And that may not, if you don't have a lot of money or whatever, we can talk about those different things. For those of you who are with me, though, you're always manifesting new money, you're manifesting new opportunities for income, and you're doing so being led primarily by your feminine energy. So, one of the things that I would say is keep it cordial if you're married to him. If you're not married, that he shouldn't even be in your dating rotation. But anywho, that was the start of like my self-care story as I evolved, right? And learned more about the manifestation principles on a conscious level and an unconscious level, right? So when you are into personal growth, when you are into becoming the best woman that you can be, when you are into becoming a woman who, for a lack of better words, like has it all, like people look at your life and like, oh my God, girl, you got it all, right? What they can't see is who that woman is on the inside, right? And so as I began to be around individuals and women who had it all, like my community of feminine business women, they literally have it all, many of them. And whatever they don't have, when they want it and God introduces it as something for them to get, they know how to bring it forth because of these principles of manifestation: be, do, and receive. Right? We know how to adjust our identities to become what we want, and we know how to apply the actions, the inspired actions that it takes for us to receive it. And then we know how to receive well. And so I'm going to go into what those three things mean over the next 3 days with you guys in depth. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I'm going to be sharing with you all of the tools that I use to do. You guys let me know if you guys are into meditations, because I would love to do like a 10-minute meditation with you if you're open to it. Meditations are a more advanced work when you are manifesting. A lot of women who are coming out of survival mode, kind of like my mom, where she was just working, working, working. She was hustling and always in her masculine. It's really hard if you are coming into this femininity, personal growth work from that standpoint to go straight into meditation. And so just let me know where you are in your feminine essence journey, and we can talk about that. I still may do it just because I think it's helpful for you guys to know how the feminine how a feminine essence being like gains control of her emotions, because that's a big thing when you're transitioning. So as in terms of evolving, right? So me growing up and seeing that, now it's time for us to decide which type of woman do we want to become in this world. When we see all the versions of women, and tell me some versions of women that you see in the chat, right? Tell me, I know for me, when I'm out, I see women who are overworked. I see women who are homeless. Unfortunately, I see a lot of women who are homeless. I see women who are on certain types of substances. They look like they have been abusing certain substances in order to wake up every day and live. I see women who are working out and running. I see women who are working out and running and taking care of their bodies. I see women who are very fashionable, right? They're into the fashion scene and they are really stylish. And so we see all these different versions of women, but the woman that I am talking about is the woman who is like always becoming the woman who can receive what she wants, right? She doesn't really sit in one mode. You see her forever doing something new, something invigorating. She's always up leveling. She's always like, oh my God, we couldn't even keep up. Like who you were yesterday and last week, it's almost like, girl, that we got to learn a whole new person, right? And so that is the woman that I am going to talk about, because what I've recognized about that woman is her identity as the woman who receives everything that she wants from God, from the divine, from a higher power. That woman moves very differently in the world, and she has a certain set of thoughts that allow her to be who she is. So, number one on your manifestation principle is when you are deciding what type of woman you're going to become, the woman who is obsessed with manifesting her dreams, okay? Because that's who I'm teaching. I'm teaching that woman. If that's not who you are, or if you're trying to figure it out, that's a-okay. But in our community, you are going to always hear Lindasha talking about manifesting your desires and your dreams, because that's just what I know. That's what I want. That's what community I want to grow, and that's the service that I would love to leave on the earth before I'm gone. And so when you're in your being stage and you are becoming that woman, I have a new phone. I'm actually filming right now. So I am going to have to call you back. But at the end of the day, when you are, I put the phone on silent and it still rings. You guys are gonna, you iPhone people are gonna have to teach me how to do this. So I'm gonna leave it in another room one day. But either way, when you are becoming that type of woman, at the end of the day, one of the first things that you have to do when you're shifting your identity from where you've been, right? Maybe you've been overworked mom. That's a big one for women in our age. And put in the chat. I know some of you are watching. I see you. You do. You can show up. I invite you to show up in the chat and talk. And let's not make this a monologue, ladies. I want to have a discussion with you, because if you are only watching me, I already know you're not manifesting anything in your life. Like those of us who bring forth in our lives, we are engaged in the things that we're doing. And I know some of you may be learning and writing, so that's okay too. But put something in the chat, a heart or something, let me know you're here, so I'm not having a monologue with myself. But when you are coming from these old identities that you have been stuck in, and you're saying, Ladasha, I want to become the woman who manifests her dreams. I want to become the woman who's manifesting what she desires in her life. Then the first thing and the most important thing that you are going to have to do and consider are your thoughts. The being stage of manifesting, the being stage, the identity stage of manifesting is the most important part of the journey. When you are manifesting your inner self care queen, your inner self respected queen, your inner self worth queen, your inner confident woman queen, all of that, because these are all words that mean the same thing, baby. You need all of those things to uh, be ready to do the work, to take the inspired action. When you are transitioning from your old identities, right? Maybe you're a divorced woman and you wore that hat for forever, and you're like, I'm ready to leave all of the drama of the divorced woman away and become the woman who's manifesting her dreams, right? Been there, done that with a bad marriage. I want the good man. I want the children that are beautiful and we have great relationships with them. I want the world travel. I want, the beautiful wardrobe, the nice closet, the dream house. Like, girl, as much as God is going to give me, I am desiring it. When you are moving from these identities into your manifesting woman, your self care queen woman, the first thing you have to consider are your thoughts. Your thoughts are the most important part of the being energy, right? The being energy is about your thoughts. The do is about your inspired action that you take as a result of you believing your thoughts, you believing who you say you are, right? Your receiving is about your emotions, and we'll get into that, reconnecting with your emotional state and how we do that in the subconscious mind work, that the role that the subconscious mind plays in you adjusting that. But right now, today, we're going to talk about the being part, and it's your thoughts. And what has to happen when you're starting your journey from any of these old identities that you're ready to let go of? You see they're no longer serving the woman who you are. You've elevated, you know so much more than what your current realities would suggest you know. And now you're ready to manifest the woman who is the expert in these things, the woman who's living out these things. Then the very first thing you want to do is look at your thoughts. When it comes to your thoughts, there are levels to thought life, right? So there are multiple, I'm going to categorize it in like two to three ways, right? You have the thoughts that are like fleeting, right? And those are the thoughts that just kind of come to mind. Oh, I got to go run this errand. Oh, I want to go to Starbucks. Oh, I would love to go to Paris for vacation. Oh, you just have thoughts that just kind of come, and that's very common to our human experience, right? It's very, very common to our human experience that we have thoughts that just kind of arise. The second thing is you have thoughts that like take root in your life. And the thoughts that take root in your life are what we call beliefs, right? These are, you know, you believe that your job is going to be there on tomorrow and you won't be fired. Like you've been at this job 10 years. If you work for UPS or something like that, you've been there for 10 years. UPS ain't going anywhere and you believe that you won't be fired. You know that every day you come, that's going to be there. That's a belief. Other beliefs that you may have is racially, I'm an African American woman, right? So, whatever that means in terms of my experience, I have a certain set of experiences around that. When people ask me to identify my race, I'd say African American woman. These are these are thoughts that are a bit more grounded and rooted in your life, and they basically kind of anchor you down. After your beliefs, you have the highest level of thoughts, right? Which is what some of my friends call it a knowing, right? It's like an internal knowing, right? No matter what's going on, these are the deepest thoughts that you can have. And if you're here with me, then say you're here. I don't want to lose you guys. If you have questions, put it in the chat. But your knowings are the most like you know it without a shadow of a doubt, right? So like for instance, the best way I've heard knowings put for me was like, you know that the sun is gonna rise on tomorrow, right? You know that. Whether you're here or not as a human, let's say you move on into, the eternal space and you're on into the God plane, you're back there with God, you know that even if a person is dead tomorrow, that the sun is going to rise on the earth. That is a deep knowing, right? And so when you are in the being stage of manifesting, and this is the most important stage, this is the most important stage when you are shifting your identity. When you are shifting your identity, this is the most important stage, and you are adjusting your thoughts, what you are going to want to do in your journal. And this is our homework. If you have your homework from last week, when you had to write out 10 safe men, let me know in the chat if you did your homework, because this is what will build on each other. Because those of you who are looking to attract a king provider husband, the very first thing that you're going to have to invest in order to develop the confidence and the inner self-care queen who is the precursor to you being the receiving wife, is you're going to have to start to navigate your feelings around what it means to you're going to have to start navigating your thoughts around men, and all of those, not just the thoughts that go through your head, but really the beliefs and the knowings that you have set yourself in. These are the things that you're going to have to uproot and begin doing the inner work to uproot those things if you're going to be attractive to a king provider, if you're going to be attractive to wealth, if you're going to be attracted to having a beautiful family and children who love you, if you're going to be attractive to if you're going to be attracted to your dream body, right? These are the things that are the deeper works to move from. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, Dot, this is super deep for me, I hope that I can like be able to do this. You will be able to do it. Every person that I know who has mastered this work and who's teaching this work, these are the inner works that we've had to do, right? And for me, as a woman who is big on embodiment, I'm very big on making sure that I am living true to these things before I teach you. I am here to so that you can see how it works. So for instance, in my thoughts in the self-care queen, in the mornings or whenever I'm journaling, there are the types of thoughts that I'm having, like I know that I am a woman who takes care of herself, right? I am in, when you advance in your elevation journey and when you advance in your inner work journey, you are literally moving at the stage where your thoughts and your emotions and your actions are all aligned to who you say you are. When you're transitioning, you got to uproot the old thoughts first and then begin implanting the new thoughts. But all of us had to do it if we saw any shifts in our lives, right? So let me know if that is really registering with you guys and you're like, yes, sis, I am with you. So let's talk about examples of what this looks like practically, right? As you guys are opening up your homework, the very first thing that I want you to do for your homework this week is I want you guys to sit and I want you to list out 15 to 20 thoughts and beliefs, right? 15 to 20 thoughts and beliefs that you currently have about yourself as a woman, right? I want you to list out 15 to 20 positive thoughts that you have about yourself, and I want you to list out 15 to 20 negative thoughts that you have about yourself as a woman. And if you would like to go deeper in this work, right? Because you have to become the woman who can attract these men, right? If you want to go deeper in this work, the 15 to 20 thoughts that are negative, the 15 to 20 thoughts that are negative, I want you to then write, where did these thoughts come from? I want you to origin, like when did I start believing this negative thought, right? Because right now, that those thoughts are the anchor. They are literally in the back of your mind, in your subconscious mind. They are running the program as to why you are not showing up as the woman who is manifesting her dreams, but you showing up as the woman that can't get over the divorce. You're showing up as the woman who can't get out of bed every day because she doesn't have confidence. You're showing up as the woman who is the bad bee, right? We got this whole bad bee energy, but all the bad bees ain't got no man. And are mean. You mean and you're miserable, but you pretty though. You're right, you pretty. And I'm not knocking it. If that's what you want to live, cool. There's a lot of, you can feel a false sense of empowerment in that bad bee phase there. And to some degree, you gotta have like that kind of darker energy about you. Like, you're not about to mess with me. But at the same time, if that's all you have in your feminine bag, men are repelled by that. Like they see you and they're like, absolutely not. She's going to be too difficult to deal with, right? And so a king provider is looking for a woman who he can work with, right? That is what he's looking for. And so at the end of the day, when you are kind of navigating this issue, when you are sitting and you're like, uh let me see these thoughts, I want you to begin to poke at your thoughts in that way, right? And so what sets you guys apart as the women who are in my cohort and the women who are in this community is 95% of women, 90 to 95% of women will not do this work, right? They will sit and they will continue in all that other energy. But for us, we are the women that live true to this, right? And so we are the women that are ready to let go and release all of those thoughts so that we can redeposit the positive thoughts here and we can move forward, right? And so that is the deeper work. So the 10 to 15 things that are positive about who you are, then the 10 to 15 things that you believe. This is about your beliefs, not other people. You believe are negative about who you are. So meaning I lack confidence, or I'm not happy with how I talk, or I have a bad attitude, whatever it is, because you're self-aware in my community, right? We are very self-aware women. We're intelligent women. Many of us have degrees. Many of us have great careers, but there's just an area that we have to beef up our emotional and mental experience so that the great woman that's on the inside can come out, right? You can move all that BS to the side and the beautiful woman that you want to be can actually come to the surface. And so that is your first set of homework for tonight, is to deal with those beliefs. And then I also want, for the second thing is for, or the third thing, excuse me, is for you to write out 5 things that you know. Because when it comes to identity work and when it comes to you becoming, you being the woman, you being the feminine, fun, flirty, lighthearted, flowing woman that you know you want to be, the fine, fit woman you know you want to be, all of these things that are so rooted on the inside of you that I just believe with all of my heart you can see come to pass. And I can see come to pass because I'm doing it. And so are you. Those things I literally want you to name the 5 things that you know, like 5 knowings that you have, because our goal is to get there. Our goal is to get there. And so at the end of the day, that is the training for this work. And so tomorrow we are going to come back and we are going to talk about your blocks as a woman, right? We're going to talk about how these blocks show up, right? And this is why this is pre-work to the course, is because this pre-work here is um super important in that. And I hate that this phone keeps doing that, but I don't want to stop the live chat. I'm gonna have to turn the phone off. Okay, I'm gonna end up turning it off when I have the stream. But sometimes if something's going on with the computer, I'll use the phone, but we're not gonna do this anymore. But nevertheless, this pre-work here is super important, because what I know is true is that when we have not done the work to become conscious of what is driving our decisions and what is going on behind the scenes, then we just always revert back to it, right? And I have the same issue. You're not wrong if you kind of revert back and isolate. Every woman that I know who has manifested anything goes through that process. However, those of us who have been doing inner work for a while and really invest in our inner work on a daily basis, we actually just do it less. Meaning we have less occurrences of going back to our old identities, and or we if we do go back, we don't stay long, right? We can like we have all of the compounding thoughts that are supporting our new identity as a wealthy woman, as a happy woman, as a well-loved wife, as a well-adored wife. We have all of these new thoughts that we have put into our soul's garden, is what I'll call it, our soul's garden, and we are literally able to like almost be resilient with it. It's like, girl, that's not who I am, right? So when my inner slave girl wants to talk and she's like, oh, you know, ain't no one's gonna do this, or we're not gonna get this, or nobody's gonna show up for this, my inner slave girl may begin to speak. But because I've done so much work to kind of strap her down and say, you're not running the show anymore, that poverty doesn't run the show for me anymore, then my inner rich girl and my inner wealthy girl, the woman who makes money in her sleep, the woman who is compounding money with her investments, the woman who has a brilliant and vibrant career where people love and are like, literally, I have clients who are begging me to like, Ndasha, can I work with you in this capacity? And I'm like, I got to figure it out, right? I got to almost be like, hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm not, I get it. Yes, we want more, but I kind of have to like grow my own masculine containers to even accept those individuals into my life in that capacity, because, I want to deliver on what I promised. And so at the end of the day, the wealthy woman in me puts on the hat and I can get back into her quicker. And the when you can do that, that is when you're mastering this work. And that is, of course, when God begins to showcase all of these opportunities. Like literally, I remember listening to my mentors back in the day, like 2, 3, 4 years ago, the individuals that I've hired to assist me and help me with little issues and tweak here in my thoughts and my beliefs or whatever else. I literally remember like them saying how God will bring so much in terms of creation or ideas or clients or all of these ways to have more professional fulfillment and to make more money in their lives. And they would be like, I can't even possibly like do all of this myself. And I remember being like, girl, like kind of like side eye, like, okay, girl, we know you're gonna sell your product. But now that I have, done the work myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these truths are happening. Even to the point, some of the things that my mentors would say, like one of my mentors would say, like her clients are begging to give her money and they're just throwing money at her all day, right? And I thought that that was a great manifestation tool. As I was like I love that statement, to that new belief to add to my set of beliefs as I was growing. Like, oh, people just throw money at me all day, blah blah blah. About 6 weeks ago, I was on a call with a client, and my client was like, "Girl, I was singing your praise this weekend to a group of doctors." And she was like, "I was just saying, LaDasha did this and LaDasha did that. And, she's so amazing and she has so much insight and she helped me. And my deal, I was so unsteady on my deal. And then I called LaDasha and now I'm steady and I know what's supposed to happen and not happen in all these different areas." So she was just laying it on thick. As a receiving woman that I am, I was receiving it. I was like, "Thank you, sis. I appreciate you." Um, or "Thank you, Dr. Such and Such. I appreciate you." And so she was like, "LaDasha, I'm literally telling my friends, like, this girl can have all my money. I'm throwing all of my money at her." And that is just what's happening. And I kind of got startled a little bit because I was like, that's what my mentor's belief was. And now, because I like my mentor's belief like trickled down on me because I'm in community with her. And my prayer for you, my hope for you is that the blessings, the abundance, the love, the affection, the happiness, the bliss, the joy, the huge smile, the like romantic part of me, all of that is LaDasha just bleeds off into your life. And one day that my students will say, and my mentees will say the same thing, like, "My mentor, that's her new belief," right? But before we can get to our new beliefs, we have to address what has been running the program. If you are a top 10% woman, top 5% woman, top 3% woman, top 1% woman like me, I've been on my journey at each of these different stages in my life. I'm either in the top 1% in most of my life, and then a few areas I'm in the top 3% in our country across the board, whether it's marriage, health, the amount of health that I have in my life, money. What else? What are the other areas? And those key marker areas in terms of world travel, how much I travel. When you look at the markers, I'm literally in the top 1, 2, 3% in America doing this. And in America, that means like in the world, you're absolutely the top 1% or top 0.1% because we're the richest country in the world. So what I know is that this stuff works. I've used it when I was in the top 15%, top 10, top 5, and on my elevation journey now that God has me teaching on this internet. I know the more of you that come into my community, that it's going to be poured out for you. And I cannot wait to see your journey. I cannot wait to see your shifts. And I am here for you. Email me at ladasha.com. Also, I meant to tell you guys, if you got to the very end, put a heart in the chat and you made it to this point. But I am actually going to go ahead and paste the Self Care Queen intro price link. Some of you tried to enroll into the Self Care Queen course, and of course, this link is going to be up for 2 weeks. These links are going to be up for 2 weeks while we're starting the first 2 weeks of the course for you guys to get an understanding of what it means to be in my coaching container. Because there was some issue with Thinkific and the PayPal link, right? Those of you who tried to pay through PayPal uniquely, there was like some sort of like issue back there. And I wanted to say thank you to the team. I think it was Maria and Rhonda or Roderica or something who was helping me. I'm terrible with names. I want to thank the team at Thinkific for coming through and trying to figure out what's going on there. But in light of that issue, I'm going to keep the Self Care Queen intro price that was done last week. If you're watching the video, you can use this link. Do not go to my link at Instagram because the price has increased on Instagram. But I wanted to reward those of you who are watching the YouTube. You guys use this link and pay through Stripe the actual intro price. And so I think I'm going to keep the intro price on YouTube for those of you who watch the videos. I'm going to keep it a little like possibly the whole 2 weeks. I don't know yet, but I love those of you who sit here and you're actually doing the work, and I want to reward you on that. And plus, when I have like tech issues and all of that kind of stuff on my end, I like to give you guys a special gift to say thank you and to say thank you for working with me. So if you go under Instagram and pay, then you're not going to get this deal. This deal will only be embedded in my videos as we are live coaching you guys. So we will meet again tomorrow at 12:30 for day 2 of the experience. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about finding your blocks. That's why the homework today is very important, and what to do once we find those money blocks, those men blocks, those self worth and confidence blocks. What do we do in order to uproot them? And then on day number 3, we are going to get back in terms of how to be an invitation to the things that you want. So today was about becoming our being. Tomorrow is about finding the limits and the blocks and what we do once we do this homework. And then Friday, we will deal with how to become an invitation for the things that you want. And those are the 3 days, Saturday and Sunday. If you guys have questions or if you DM me, I'll come on to do quick Q&As for day 4 and 5. If there are no questions, then we'll only have the 3 days. And then you guys will see me again on Monday at lunch. And Monday will be when we go deeper into the course, and you have your inner work, and the homework sets you up for the rest of the course for us to really dig in deep so that you are becoming that woman who's manifesting a manifesting powerhouse. You're getting what you want left and right from all different places. All right. So I want you guys to go and you enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow at 12:30 for the next day of the pre-work. Okay. Bye, guys.